All right, we're going to talk a little Canes football. We're going to switch gears here. We're going to talk Canes, but we're going to do it with Manny Navarro and the Caneswear Miami Hurricanes report. That is next.
If you're a Miami sports fan, then there's only one store to go to, and that's Caneswear at Miami Fanwear in Davie. They're your one-stop shop for all your inner Miami CF, Canes, Dolphins, Panthers, and Marlins merchandise. They have hats, t-shirts, game day jerseys, and so much more. Located at 2511 South University Drive in Davie, and open 24/7 online at caneswear.com or innermiamiwear.com. Call them at 954-835-5597. Caneswear, the spot where Inter Miami and all Miami sports fans shop.
The viewpoint, statements, or beliefs expressed on the following program by the host, guests, or callers are not necessarily the opinions of FantasyXS.com, Media Group Inc. ownership, management, sponsors, or website. Time for Canes fans to get what they want. Information, insight, and perspective. It's the Caneswear Miami Hurricanes Report with Manny Navarro. Exclusively on the Big O Radio Show. Here's Big O and insider Manny Navarro.
There we are. We're both here. Manny Navarro, the great Manny Navarro, ready to join us. He does it every week, twice a week. It'll be Tuesdays and Fridays. And, of course, breaking it all down with the Canes. How you doing, Manny? You hanging in there? I know you've had an interesting day so far.
Yeah, man. I'm hanging in there. What's that?
All right, good stuff. I said I'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
You know, you've had an interesting day. Speaking of interesting and in a way, closure, an emotional time for the program, they can also kind of close the door. It was something that a lot of us were always wondering about what's going on with the case. I'm really happy for the Pata family that they finally get to kind of close that book. At least they know exactly what ended up happening to their son, which has to be devastating when you lose someone that you love, but you have no idea how it happened. And amazingly also that according to the officers, nobody ever quit on this case. Not the officers, not the public, not fans. People wanted an ending to this story, and Brian Pata and his family deserved it, and that's exactly what they got.
You're absolutely right, though. I mean, for me, my personal connection to this story goes all the way back to when I covered Brian in high school. You know, I covered him his entire senior year, followed him all the way through to Miami, and the week before he was shot and killed, I was in his apartment hanging out with him. I was going to do a behind-the-scenes story, kind of like, you know, he's going into the NFL draft. What is he thinking? Who is this guy? And so, you know, a week later, I get a phone call. He's been shot. I raced back down to his apartment, and police are there, and he's dead. And it was just a heart-wrenching story. And for 15 years, that family has pleaded with police to get an answer. And they finally were able to get the arrest done. You know, I sat down with his brother, obviously, Edwin, who's in the recruiting department at Miami. And, you know, this was 2 years ago when he first got there. And I played all this old audio from my interviews with Brian for him. And we sat there for 2 hours listening to it. And it was specifically from that day I spent with him when, you know, I was at his apartment and he was showing me everything. And, you know, tears just started welling up in his eyes. And he's like, man, you know, I miss him so much. And thank you for playing this for me. And, you know, at the time he told me police really felt like they knew who did it. They just didn't have enough evidence to convict it. And so that was the deal. I mean, they knew all along Rashawn Jones was likely the killer. They just needed to go out and find the evidence to arrest them and to charge them. And apparently they did. So, you know, having been connected to that family, seeing everything they've gone through. Yeah, I mean, yesterday was a good day. I hope for their sake that they can get the justice they want.
Yeah. What was the main piece? So people that may not have read the story, what was the proof that they got that they were able to close this case?
Well, I think based off of cell phone records and, cell towers and how far away Rashawn Jones was specifically to the crime scene when it took place. He told police repeatedly that he was home the night of the murders. And yet they were able to, through eyewitness accounts, somebody who I guess saw him and picked him out of a lineup. And then, between the cell phone tower records and whatever other DNA evidence they were able to gather, I think that's how they've built their case and charged them. Now, will it stick in court? I don't know. I mean, the legal system, right? I mean,
Right,
innocent until proven guilty. So we will see. But I think
there's a lot of anger towards Rashawn right now.
There's no question. I mean, look, I wrote the story for The Athletic.
I think there's a lot of fanatical stuff going on that if he gets off, ugly things could end up happening, I think, down the line.
Yeah, there's no question. I think, this thing has lasted 15 years. And I'll tell you, I wrote a story for The Athletic this morning, and, just talking to the former players, as much as they had heard that he was a suspect, I don't think they ever really believed that police would charge him. And so,
okay.
For these guys, for police to make a case to arrest him and charge him, it's like, man, even if you were suspected, we always believed that you didn't kill him. And so now, for 15 years, this guy's been living scot-free on the run or whatever. And, these guys were like, nah, he didn't kill him. There's no way he wouldn't have done that. And then yesterday, it's like that realization, like, Jesus Christ, we were friends with this guy. And, he's the one kneeling next to the mural of Brian on game day. And it's,
that picture twisted, dude. I mean, he's there and he killed him.
Right.
Wow. That's sick.
And so, I talked to all the guys who were Brian's friends and Rashawn's friends, and they're all sick to their stomach. They're all just, I can't believe this is real.
And it was all female related?
I think a big portion of that was, I know their initial beef, their first fight wasn't necessarily over, their girl or Brian's girlfriend. But it eventually spun into that. And I think it was always sort of this, the way it was described to me anyway, it was this animosity between them. Now, I think, between the players and the guys in the team, there's always guys who don't like each other, but, to think that it would go to murder or something like that, it takes it to a whole nother level. And they just don't expect that.
I can't imagine what that woman is thinking now when she kind of realizes that it was over her, what happened. And it's not her fault either, by the way, that this, that Rashawn chose this path to settle any kind of an issue. That's not on her, because that's not the way you settle anything whatsoever. But it was just one that, man, it just floors you. And when you see that it's his friend and you see that picture and all of that, it's sad, man. It really is sad. And what else have you heard of other people tied to this case? What other things have you been able to learn from all of this?
Well, I mean, look, I knew about this case. Obviously, police had their own investigation. For years, I heard it was like Haitian mafia related, that, one of Edwin's and Brian's older brothers had some beef with the Haitian mafia, and then Brian got involved and it was a fight in a club and all this kind of stuff. I heard that for years. So I didn't necessarily think it was Rashawn. We heard it was the brother, right, of Jada Brody, the girlfriend. We heard that, he was a suspect. So the rumors for years was just kind of like, it was either one of those guys, and Rashawn was a suspect too, but he wasn't really brought to light as a real suspect until ESPN ran the article last year. So, there was always just sort of like this idea of, well, they may never arrest the guy. And so the fact that they were able to get enough evidence to feel like they could charge him, To me, that's the wild part of this story, is just all the different directions the investigation went, and then also, all the beliefs that people had of who did it.
Crazy stuff. Make sure you follow Manny on Twitter at Manny_Navarro. And of course, you can catch him twice a week here on Tuesdays and on Fridays for the Caneswear Miami Hurricanes report. Make sure you give them a ring, 954-835-5597. Remember, all orders over $99, you get free shipping. Manny, I know that the Canes are now going to have their scrimmage. And I know that Diaz said this is kind of like akin to the third preseason game in the NFL, right, whether it's a dress rehearsal and all of those things. One, are you guys allowed to watch? Two, do you like the idea of doing this? Because it makes a lot of sense, actually, to get this going and to try to get yourself prepared for the best program in the damn country.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a good concept. You want the players to sort of be peaking here, right? You don't want them to be going into the season flat. So I think this whole concept of, hey, we're going to take this preseason scrimmage like a preseason NFL game, I like that. I think, obviously you always run the risk of injury, but the guys who are dealing with injuries, Nesta Silvera, Zion Nelson, they've been held out on purpose to let them heal. So I think as long as you run it smartly and you're not putting any guys out there that are dealing with stuff, I think it works. For now, though, I mean, as far as what they're going to do and who's going to be involved, I think they're really going to give a good look to the younger players, the guys that are the true freshmen, the second-year freshmen. Those are the guys you really want to run out there and see it. Can they run with the ones? Can they be somebody that really helps us? Because in camp up to this point, they've been practicing against the threes. So, now they get their chance to go out there against the best on the team. And, you find out what you got. And so I think it's a smart approach. And I think after this weekend, basically what Manny's going to do is just say, okay, these are the guys we're running with. These are the reserves. These are the guys on the scout team. These are the guys that are really going to be held off until next year. So they're deep enough. They've got enough depth at a lot of positions where they don't have to really worry about injuries, I think. But that said, can they get up and play their best against Alabama? I don't know, man. I mean, it's still Alabama, and I don't know that Miami has enough to line up September 4th, game 1, and stun the world.
Not that I think he has any shot at getting fired this year, no matter what happens.
Mm-hmm.
But and you talk to enough people behind the scenes, is he starting to feel the pressure? Is he, because I'm sure he knows that there's plenty of doubt already for Manny in the first 2 years. And look, most of us with logic, we know they're not going to win against Alabama, but the rest of that season is so important. So I'm wondering, is he feeling the heat? Does he have any internal, pressure for himself to kind of go out there and finally prove that he can be a really good head coach at this level?
Oh, for sure. I mean, I think that's why you saw the change of defensive coordinator, right? I mean, ultimately he could have just kept his guy there and been like, hey, I'm Al Golden or, some other coaches, Mark Richt, like, I'm just going to stick with my dudes. And I think he went out and he said, screw it. I got to take this over and I got to do it myself. It's got to be my defense. So I think he's already put that kind of pressure on himself. And now it's just a matter of, can they go out there and take the steps forward? And we won't know till game day. I mean, we really won't.
So it's going to be one hell of a season, my man. What are you working on in the athletics so folks can check you out, my friend?
Yeah, so obviously I just wrote a big story on Pata and, what happened yesterday. Going forward as we get closer to the season, you'll see more, sort of preview type stuff for the season. Also recruiting, high school football, it's already underway. Tonight there's a big game here in South Florida. You got Plantation American Heritage against IMG Academy, which is basically the big football academy that has hundreds of recruits over there. And so you're going to have a lot of talent on the field tonight at Plantation American Heritage, and I'm going to be there for it.
There you go. He's Manny Navarro. Follow him on Twitter at Manny_Navarro. And folks, I'm telling you, it is so worth it. And really, it's a steal. Subscribe to The Athletic so you can get your news locally and nationally. They do great work in The Athletic from sea to shining sea, baby. And a little football, too, a little soccer coverage there also for you on The Athletic. So make sure you take advantage of that. Manny, as always, my friend, I appreciate you. Have a great and safe weekend. We will talk again on Tuesday.
Thank you, brother. Take care.
If you're a Miami sports fan, then there's only one store to go to, and that's Caneswear at Miami Fanwear in Davie. They're your one-stop shop for all your Inter Miami CF, Canes, Dolphins, Panthers, and Marlins merchandise. They have hats, t-shirts, game day jerseys, and so much more. Located at 2511 South University Drive in Davie, and open 24/7 online at Caneswear.com or InterMiamiWear.com. Call them at 954-835-5597. Caneswear, the spot where Inter Miami and all Miami sports fans shop.